I would admit I have not been to a library since I was 13.
Nowadays, physical book is not as popular.
I would think that visitorship has gone down because a lot of things are very accessible online.
Really? Are our libraries ignored? Forsaken? Forgotten? Apparently not. Today, Singapore's libraries are booming. Last year, they welcomed over 16.5 million visitors. That's an increase of 5 million from the year before. And these people borrowed 25.6 million physical books, an increase of 200,000 items over the same period.
That's bizarre.
Wow. So who are borrowing these books?
I'm very surprised to find out that it's gone up actually.
And that's not the only surprise we dug up about libraries. You think you know about things borrowed, but you have no idea. Libraries near your home. In the malls. In the city. 28 libraries in all. There's even one inside Singapore Botanic Gardens. Yep, this is among Southeast Asia's oldest libraries and is dedicated to, you guessed it, plants and gardening. It even has the library's oldest book, one that goes back to 1531, about, yes, plants. It's a record of over 150 years of botany adventures in the region. Books, magazines, digital material, and more. Our libraries have some 38 million items. And every day, an average of over 70,000 items get returned to the libraries, dropped into these chutes island-wide. But quite unlike what you might imagine, there are no trusty librarians sorting through all the returned books. Not since 2020. Instead, this is what happens in every library whenever you return a book.
So this is the auto sorter. What you see here is people are returning books over there through the holes, and it gets onto this conveyor belt system. They are reading the RFID tag in every book, and it will then be able to tell which category it falls under. All our bins lined in one row has got a specific category tag to it. So knowing that this book belongs to, say, category A, the conveyor belt will then bring the book to the bin designated with category A.
And this auto sorter goes so far as to tell you when the bins become dangerously full.
There is a sensor in every bin, which will then detect a certain amount of weight that has, and it will trigger an alarm. So this weight will translate to about 120 to 140 books, after which my colleagues will then take the books from the bin and transfer them to the trolley.
So there are still trusty librarians. They've just joined the ranks of other librarians in the world who have been spared the rather routine work of sorting.
Our auto sorter can sort up to 4,000 books a day.
The system even records all these books returned and stores this information, so the library knows what we like to read. The 24/7 setup also means you can send your books down the chute just before the stroke of midnight on the due date to avoid a fine.
Oh, I'm the worst at returning books. Yeah, I never return them on time.
The last time I borrowed something from the library was probably in my uni days, which is a long time ago. And I didn't return it a year on, but they sent me many messages and I finally did.
I forgot to return a book. Wow, it was a book that I borrowed in secondary school, and I remember I only returned it when I was in poly. And then I paid like, don't know how many $100 of fines.
Yep, book fines may cost just a few cents a day per book, but it all adds up. Go ahead, guess just how much the library gets from fines in just 1 year alone.
$10,000? More?
$50,000. Higher?
70,000. No way, it's even more. $250,000.
More like $1.5 million.
Huh? How many late people are there in Singapore? Why are Singaporeans also ill-disciplined? I am so surprised at my fellow Singaporeans. Guys, it's not that hard to return a book on time.
Well, we are a fine city indeed.
And don't even think of scamming the system.
What happens if someone borrows a book and never ever returns it? Like, the library just can't do anything about it.
I was banned for many years. I had borrowed something, I lost it, and then I wasn't able to borrow anything. Sorry, National Library Board.
Just as the library knows just how to deal with you if you don't go by the book, pun intended, they also know what to do with books that don't work well in the system. Across Singapore's libraries, the auto sorter is hard at work still. In fact, it never sleeps. Its mission? To ensure that the loans you return even at odd hours are sorted and ready for the next thrilling adventure with readers. But sometimes the ride hits a roadblock.
We have a lot of children's books that could come with certain things hanging out of them, like maybe a bookmark. Or books that come with dog-eared corners often get stuck in the conveyor belt. When the conveyor belt stalls, essentially the doors, the book drop holes won't open, and therefore people can't return the books outside.
It's the closest to a library emergency you'll ever get, which is why the auto sorter is monitored 24/7.
An alarm will be triggered.
The cry in the night won't go unheard. A remote tech team at Chai Chi is at hand 24/7 monitoring the libraries. They will try to solve the problem remotely first. But forget about getting a peek at the work they do. The library says the place is tightly secured. If they can't settle the problem from afar,
If they can't, they will send someone down to physically rectify it.
once the books are sorted, librarians take over and return the books to the shelves. Then, this gentle giant rolls in.
This is Tom, and level 4 one is called Jerry. They are Tom and Jerry because the Punggol Regional Library people love Tom and Jerry show.
Unlike the real Tom and Jerry, this Tom and Jerry can read. Yes, you heard me right. And don't be fooled, his eyes aren't up here. Those are just for show. They're here. Each bot has scanner lenses that read the RFID tags on the books.
This book, beginning with C, is not supposed to be here next to a H book. It's supposed to be here. Some books get wedged in another book like this. You will have to take it out and put it back onto the shelf. We wouldn't know this so quickly if not for the shelf reading robot.
Before the arrival of these robots, our librarians had to check every single shelf. That's thousands upon thousands of books to make sure everything's in place every single day.
A report will be churned in the morning, which will then state which are the books not on the correct shelf. So we will go to those shelves and take out those books and put them back to the right ones. We no longer need to hunt for these misshelved books.
And these bots are fast too. This little fella can scan 50,000 books in just one night, all with a 99% accuracy. We pit one of the bots against our librarian. We made them scan one shelf for misplaced books. And the winner is Tom. Or are you Jerry? But not having real hands means that these bots can see what is wrong and tell you about it. But only she can reshelf the books correctly.
They get to save about 3,500 hours a year for us, and then with the save time, I can use it to do other things to make the libraries more exciting for everyone to use.
From time saving in libraries to money saving with cars. Car sharing lets you zip around in wheels as low as 50 cents an hour. Tribe Car is one of Singapore's oldest car sharing outfits. These folks excel in ensuring your vehicle is ready where and when you need it. Their job is to place the 1,400 vehicles, cars, vans, motorbikes in as many different locations as possible. For now, they're up to 1,000 locations.
Now, where's Joel?
The customers always want us to put a car right outside their doorstep, right next to the bed if they could.
Each vehicle needs to serve 50 households over a month. Unless your neighborhood sees that kind of traffic, it's not going to cut it as a pickup location. Which is why this guy, Cuthbert, has another less popular job. To shut down locations that are no longer popular. They also scout for new ones. But placing cars around Singapore isn't as easy as putting them here, there, and everywhere.
We are at this car park because we have high number of our users requesting for this location. So my job here today is to find out whether this location is suitable. Where we are parked is an ideal location because we have enough signal strength for our users to unlock the vehicle. And also, it's actually near the lift lobby, which is convenient for our users to access the location.
Okay, this place gets the nod of approval. A strong Wi-Fi signal strength is as important as a convenient spot. No Wi-Fi, no app, no booking, and no way to even unlock the vehicle. One down. So many more locations to check out. The team is on the move every 2 weeks on such hunting expeditions. So far, locations aren't limited to just car parks. There are cars parked at petrol kiosks too. As long as enough people want it there, you can get a tribe car vehicle stationed anywhere. Then there are these people. Nope, there's nothing fishy going on here. Just Tribe Car's very own CSI team.
So the first thing we do when we inspect the interior is to do a sniff test. And what we're looking for is any signs of smoking, cigarette smell or durian smell. My name is Dulka and I am the enforcement team's supervisor. The enforcement team is there to check on the damages and to investigate the damages.
Complaints of weird smells are just a small part of what they have to check out. The team also investigates user complaints about vehicles in less than ideal condition. Those who use the car sometimes find that the previous users have refilled the vehicle with water instead of fuel, drained the car battery so the car won't start. At times, users are so callous they even get caught red-handed by Tribe Car staff.
If there's no additional driver added, but you allow somebody else to drive on your behalf, that would be an unauthorized usage. So our team was on site, and the person who was riding the bike almost ran over one of our colleagues because they wanted to leave the place immediately. But we managed to stop the rider.
They managed to stop them from leaving that time, but there's no stopping some drivers from leaving weird things behind.
Huh?
You book the vehicle, use the vehicle, then return it. Car sharing isn't difficult to understand. What's difficult to understand is how people return the vehicle with a little something in it.
Wrappers, toothbrush, toothpaste,
Shoes. Like people forgetting their shoes, you know? Socks.
underwear, lingerie.
The char kway teow that you tap out home and you leave it in there.
If someone left a kid behind, I'd be very impressed.
They found a cat in the van, but the cat did not belong to the previous user either. So till date, we do not know how the cat entered the van.
Usually, though, it's the operations team in charge of cleaning the vehicle that find the items left behind.
这些是 lost and found， 在车上找到的，没有人来领取。帽子啦、鞋子啦，还有 watch， 一箱的 watch， 这些是没有地址，我们不知道送去哪里。baby chair 啦，或者人家退货的那些 trolley 咯，他们放在车后面，忘记拿是什么吗？把最古怪的是，有一次我们洗车的时候，在那个车后找到一个 wheelchair 咯。
So you wheeled yourself in and walked out?
Once the operations team clears everything that shouldn't be in the car, deep cleaning can start. Up to 180 vehicles are cleaned each day. So with a fleet of 1,400, every vehicle gets washed about once a week. Unless, of course, they come back like this.
一次啊，一到下雨天，那车就你一开车门全部是泥土，狗毛我们看到我们会清理掉。卡巴不可以用水洗，你要用水洗，你要去washing base，全部是干洗的。这种咖啡啊，它很多沙子在里面，once you set in 啊，然后你用 vacuum 啊，没有办法弄出来的，你要用这个敲它的沙出来，来你看。
Which begs the question, what do customers do with the vehicles they borrow to leave them in such a state? Well, the Tribe Card team has found a way to make very educated guesses.
So this view of our cars is actually the GPS data of all 1,400 vehicles of cars, motorcycles, commercial vehicles. It includes bookings that are currently active or vehicles that are stationary with no bookings. The green color cars on the map shows our active cars with an active booking. So these are cars that are actually on the move island-wide. Whereas the blue pins are actually for our vehicles that are active, but there's no booking, so currently they're stationary. There are actually a few vehicles right here and there that is actually on the way to Malaysia. So we have some vehicles that are allowed to be driven into Malaysia, such as our economy sedan and economy MPV. There's multiple locations and stops across the island. So we can actually deduce that this is actually a private hire driver picking up and dropping off passengers along the way. Here we see a GPS data of 3 pins on the map. So the first pin starts at 1:16 a.m. and the last pin actually ends at 1:53 a.m. What we can actually assume in this case is that the customer actually booked it to really just turn on the engine, maybe blow the aircon for a short while, then turn it off. So we have such weird cases as well.
This is the level 13 of the National Library building, and this is where the rare materials room is. What you see here are shelves of early materials on Singapore and Southeast Asia, which were printed in 1970s or earlier. And on this side, you see the green folders which contain the ephemeral collection.
What? Say that again.
The ephemeral collection, brochures and pamphlets and newsletters on Singapore and its organizations and events and festivals. And here is the door to the rare book room.
Great, let's go in.
No, we can't go in. This is a secure area, and in order to protect the materials, we do not allow people to walk into the room.
What? There's a part of a library that's out of bounds? What's in there anyway?
Behind this door is the rare materials room where we keep our rare collections. Books, maps, manuscripts, journals, posters, photographs, as well as novelty items, which do not have copies anywhere else in the world, or even if there are copies, they may not be complete. They span from the 15th to the 19th centuries. There are about 20,000 items in the rare materials collection.
Only a very special group of people are allowed access here.
The late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew and the late Mr. S.R. Nathan have both visited the rare collections area. We've also had the former First Lady of US, Laura Bush, and the Bhutan Prince. For researchers who are interested in accessing the rare materials, they will have to write in and we will make an appointment with them.
Because they are largely books and material on paper, they end up here in the library instead of the museum. And a good thing too, because at least here, people can get their hands on them even if there are strict rules. Only for research, only on request, and only within the library.
This is the oldest item in the National Library's rare materials collection. It was printed in Rome in 1478 and is a map of Southeast Asia. This map is based on Claudius Ptolemy, a 2nd century philosopher and geographer, and his geography manual called Geographia.
So this is one of the earliest known geographical records of the region. But wait a minute. Southeast Asia doesn't look like this. Where is Singapore? And where are all the islands?
That's hard to say, but it could be anywhere here above the equator. But one wonders whether Ptolemy even knew about Singapore in the 2nd century. Ptolemy did not travel to the region. He based his geography manual on old geography works that existed then.
Choose the correct rare material and witness Singapore's historical transformation as revealed in books like this one, highlighting how, after 400 years of obscurity, Singapore emerged as a popular travel destination.
This is a book written by a Russian doctor who was aboard a ship that was traveling around the world in the middle of the 19th century. What's interesting is that the book contains a chapter on the Malay Sea, which contains descriptions of Singapore. These scenes of Singapore and its inhabitants were drawn when the ship was anchored in Singapore for 1 week in July 1858.
100 years later, you get to see Singapore in a different light.
This is one of the novelty items we have. It is a photographic strip of Singapore views called Singapore in a Nutshell. It was produced around the 1920s. It contains 29 miniature images of Singapore. I find this item particularly interesting and unique. Although we have images and pictures of Singapore from the 1920s, this is one of the unique items that we have where the pictures are 5 by 5 cm and are encased in a walnut case. We acquired this for its fun element. We are constantly on the lookout for new rare items to acquire on Singapore and Southeast Asia. It's a never-ending journey.
And that's how the library can end up with some 38 million items and counting. And most of them can be borrowed out, with the most popular ones being...
Comics, children's books.
Motivational self-help books or business economic books? No. Wait.
Ghost stories. Yep, Singaporeans love their horror stories.
If it's all those 90s kids, right, we would all love Russell Lee's True Singapore Ghost Stories. I would still go there to read all these books.